Welcome to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Jones. I am a certified personal trainer, and I'm here to help you achieve your fitness goals without pain. In each episode, I'll share tips and strategies that will help you stay safe and pain-free while you're working out. I'll also interview experts in the field of fitness and pain management. So if you're ready to learn how to stay active and pain-free, then subscribe to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast today. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Jones, and today's guest is Cathy Spaas. Cathy is an HSP advocate, best-selling author, and the powerhouse coach behind the concept of spotlight stress. Once an elite international showjumper, Cathy knows the pressure of performing at the highest level, and now she helps top professionals worldwide step into the spotlight with calm, confidence, and clarity. Welcome to the show, Cathy.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is great. What's a HSP advocate?
So the term is highly sensitive people, and a lot of people have negative connotation with this terminology because they think, "Ah, you're such crybabies, you're just too sensitive." And that's not what it is. And so I always like to compare us to the X-Men who have these abilities, these superpowers that are like genetic mutants. And that's a little bit what we are.
That's
So
awesome.
that's why I feel like an advocate, because I want to address the superpowers that come along with it instead of just stay stuck on the challenges that we also have.
So how did you get involved in that? Are you a highly sensitive person?
Yes, very, very much. Yeah, as well, I struggled with that a lot. And then when I had my own personal turning point and I was doing my coaching education and like reschooling and educating myself, I thought like, okay, I need a niche. I want to help people feel what I feel, but I need a niche. And then I thought, then they asked me, what was the thing that you struggled with most in your life? And I thought, well, that, taking things too personally, staying stuck in these mental loops of overthinking, putting all the pressure and stress on myself, putting all the responsibility on myself, trying to please everyone else and always putting yourself last, difficulties with boundaries. I know now you might think X-Men who, but these are the challenges. And when you do learn how to put them into place and have that work for you instead of against you, because our brain functions a little bit differently. So when you know how to manage that and organize that, well, then you can finally let these powers and advantages that come with it, because it's such a beautiful gift. But I only realized that once I had my own challenges in check. And still I have to work on that. It's not like this ability just moves away because you know how to do it. You'll have to keep implementing it, but life just got so much easier by doing it. And then you can shine in your gifts, then the space arises for you to really come through with all these beautiful advantages that are in there as well. So that's a little bit why and how I got into that.
It's funny because Dr. Sarno talks about that TMS personality, the people who suffer from chronic stress or chronic pain, excuse me. And that is one of the things, like all the characteristics that you're listing, right? That people pleasing, the having to do everything right, having that constant dialogue running in your head of, I could have done that differently, or did I say the right thing? Does she like me? Did I do all of my work? Whatever it may be. But it's that constant dialogue that does create that stress for a lot of people. And sometimes it's hard to let go of that. And so your work kind of leads you into kind of connect like back to our bodies. And so I don't know, could you give me an example, or what is a technique that you use that would make somebody who is on that, I almost want to call it a hamster wheel, because
Yeah.
it feels that way where you're running and you
Yeah.
can't stop. What is one thing that would help somebody if they're in that, or even to realize, because a lot of times we don't always know if we're a highly sensitive person.
That's what I wanted to say first. I want to take us all back a little step before getting into the how to help, because we can and we will. But to give you an example, my personal example was that I always took everything in so personally. And when I had my own horse yard, I had 30 boxes. I was finally living my dream after working, 6 days a week for so many years with only 2 weeks of holiday during the entire year. Like there's no days off in between. That just doesn't exist in the horse industry. And I finally had my own stable. I was living my dream, but I was putting so much pressure on myself subconsciously that my health was really suffering. I was having like heart poundings. I don't know what the real word in
Palpitations.
English is. Yeah, exactly. I was shaking. I was always tired. And the moment for example, if I had to mop my apartment, which was tiny, that I was out of breath, exhausted. I almost had to lay down. And I was working 6.5 days a week to get everything done. And I just at one point stopped loving what I was doing because the passion got lost and I lost myself completely. So there was the mental aspect of me losing my passion and the energy that was just gone. But there was also the physical part where my body was saying, hey, this isn't okay. Like you are burning very low. And I didn't realize this back then because I had already done years of personal development and therapy and everything I could to work on my personal stuff, my history, and letting go of all these things. But later on, I learned that highly sensitive people are just, I like to say, empaths. We have a deeper way of processing information. So,
Yes.
where someone else says, okay, this is the situation, my brain has a toolbox. I'll take the hammer and I'll take the screwdriver, and now we're done and we're going to do the task. Well, for HSP, they did studies on the brain and they see that more functions in the brain get activated for every single task, even while looking at the most basic pictures. And that means that our brain is doing so much more where someone else just says, okay, choop, choop, go. And then our brain is like, okay, so let's have a look at this toolbox. Let's get everything out. We need the perfect tool. And then we get the tool and then we do the task and then we reevaluate. And then we'll, always be stuck in that loop of thinking, especially when there's emotion involved. Then it hits us hard and then we can
Right.
stay stuck for years. I was stuck for years on certain situations. And so that cost me my passion and my health. What I've learned is a few things. And the first thing, you're not going to like me for this because it's the most unsexy answer and you know it and we all know it, but I'm going to say it because it's the obvious first easy thing that everyone can do. Eat fucking healthy. Eat fucking healthy. When I went to this
No
like
chips and,
my
ice
God,
cream?
like, I had this doctor put me on a really strict diet, no sugar, no carbs, no milk products. So that's just pure food. And after a few weeks, I was bursting with energy.
Huh.
I was feeling amazing. I was feeling better in my own skin, in my head, in my mind. So that's so easy. When I was years later in my burnout, I had a different doctor tell me, what you're not going to do now is lay on the sofa and watch TV all day. She said, you're going to go outside and go for walks, even if it's just 20 minutes, but go for walks. And so I did. And the movement, that's the second part. So important, so easy. It's free. Come on, we can all do this. And the third part was for me to learn how to let go. Because even as a kid, I went to a psychologist. My parents got divorced really young. There were a lot of situations that made life challenging for us at times. And so I went to psychologists even on a younger age. And one thing I remember is that everyone always kept saying, just, don't take it so personally. And then I thought, okay, but if I knew how, I would. That's the most stupid answer I've ever heard. Just don't take it as personally. Well, we are programmed to take it personally as an empath. That made it really challenging for me to learn to let go of certain things. And discovering how to train my brain was a life changer, a game changer for me. So that's the third step. And there is the easiest way, and it's a tool that I'm going to share for free today with you. I shared the link with you. And that's a 3-minute calm reset to balance the hemispheres of your brain. Do this every morning for 3 minutes. Simple breathing exercise. We all have 3 minutes.
We all
Only
have 3 minutes, we
3.
do.
We all have. I don't believe in meditating for an hour. It works. It's proven, but I'm not going to do it. Who has time for that? And to be honest, I get nervous if I have to sit still for an hour. We don't want to be doing that. We have too much on our plate. So let's
So
start with
So let
3.
me ask you a question, right? So little Kathy is very sensitive to stuff, and little Kathy gets drawn to horses who are prey animals, highly sensitive. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a mirror, shall we
Yeah.
say, right?
Yeah.
So, like, how, because now you're still working with horses and working with people. And how do you bridge that because of the fact that animals are a reflection of us? So, obviously, we can do some breathing exercises, whatever, before we come in contact with the animal. But, like, one thing I've learned about horses is that, like, there's no filter between you and the horse. Like, the horse isn't, like a dog could be, I'm not paying attention to you. I don't care because there's grass over here or whatever. But a horse, I mean, I don't even know how close you need to get to a horse. I mean, think about like storms and other things that they are so sensitive to. I don't even know, like, is it a couple hundred yards that you can't be near the horse that they don't pick up on it? Cause I feel like they're so sensitive to everything. So how do you manage your energy? Like if I'm somebody who's around a horse, or for your athletes that are working with horses, like how do you get them to manage their energy so that they're not freaking out an animal that can kill them?
Yeah, and that's very interesting because most equestrians, we know that when we're in a bad mood or we have an off day, you will get shit from your horse. Like they will make it hard on you. That's just what it is. So I always agree with my clients before you enter the barn, before you get out of the car, shift that shit because you are going to pay the price if you don't.
Right.
And not just you, because you already are frustrated. Horses, we all know that they sense our stress, but research also showed that they can smell our stress. So they know. Like we don't have to touch them. They know. That's why indeed I think it's the same with children, at least like
Yes.
mine are my biggest mirrors. If I feel great, I will have the coolest kids. But if I'm in a hurry, my God, it's terror. It's terror. And I think it's the same with the horses. Like you really need to shift your energy and be present. And I've agreed with some clients because especially in the US, it's a different system than here in Europe. But I've agreed with some clients that they have to talk to their trainer, who does the warm up with them, for example, the technical riding part. They have to agree with the trainer that if they have negative energy, if they are in a bad mood because maybe their round didn't go great and now they're frustrated, before they enter the warm up arena, they have to shift their energy and get in with a clean vibe. It's just as simple as agreeing with yourself. Okay, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to leave that shit here at the door. It's okay. I don't have to push it away because your reptilian brain is very activated on that. If we're stressed, she will take over. I call her Janice from Friends because she's this whiny, this whiny person in the
Totally
back.
whiny.
And we all have that. And the more stress we have, the louder she screams. So when you're in this moment of frustration, for example, agree with yourself, okay, Janice, you know what? I will get back to you later, but now I have to park you. Like you're going to stay here at the door, like literally at the door. We're going to move through the door. I'm going to be present. I'm going in with a positive, strong, focused attitude. And when I get back, we can see if we want to readdress this issue or not. And that gives peace of mind to Janice because she doesn't feel like you're shoving her away. She knows we can get back to this. But the beautiful part is that you'll be so present that very often the biggest emotion and frustration is already calmed down more. And the chances are likely that you won't revisit the topic in the same frequency that you were doing before. So that helps so much.
That's amazing. Well, I remember, for my high school students, I used to show this it was not a movie, it was a documentary, and it was, Ray Hunt, right? The horse whisperer. He's like the
Oh, yeah.
OG horse whisperer from Wyoming, and he showed the first day everybody shows up and he evaluates them as they're all just warming up in the arena, and then he asks them to load their horses onto a trailer, and he watches these people, and they're, like, dragging the horse, they're pushing the horse, they're, trying to scare the horse into the trailer, the whole deal, and this one person, God help him, it took him, like, I don't know, 20 minutes to get the horse into the trailer. And same horse, and he gets there, and he has 1 line on the horse, or he has 2 lines on the horse, and he essentially set boundaries for the horse, where the horse could go, and then the horse looked at him, put her head down, and walked right into the trailer. And so I teach that to my students because of the fact of, like, if I'm shoving you and pushing you and forcing you and doing whatever, you're gonna fight me.
Yeah.
You're going to resist all that because it's not a cooperative relationship.
No, because
And
Janus gets activated too much.
yes,
Then
right?
they
Because
both
I'm gonna prove to you, right? I don't have to listen to you or, why are you listening to them or they're just yelling at you because you're stupid or, that kind of thing, and children are the same as horses. And if you just create a situation where you create boundaries, because I'm huge on you have to set some boundaries for them because they want them. And every student I've ever had has always told me that they don't respect their parents if the parents don't set boundaries for them.
yeah.
Like terms of coming home at night or whatever. My mom doesn't care. That's what they interpret it. So you set a boundary and then you move through things in a cooperative way.
And I think we should dare to turn this around because yes, it's about setting boundaries for the students or for my clients or the horses, but we should be setting boundaries on ourselves because I was talking with someone earlier today about how hard it is to do self-care because
Yeah.
there will always be something else that's more important. Fuck no. There is one thing that is the most valuable thing in your life, and that's you. That's you. If you don't take it, like I had to learn this the hard way. I'm having like zero sleep with these two beautiful angels of mine which I don't refer to as angels in the night when they wake me up yet again. But let's keep it real, okay? The thing is, if you don't set these boundaries for yourself, that at one point you will have to block time and take in moments and have the highest priority for yourself. I mean, I was yelling at my kids a year ago because I was running empty. I was so low. I couldn't. I was exhausted. And of course, that's what you do. You get frustrated, like you can't take anything. But whether that's in your household, at your job, or performing at any kind of sport you want to perform, or working in a team, then you need to get your shit straight before you leave your house. Like that's where it all starts. You doing your me time in a constructive way and making yourself a priority because we're the best people at making everyone else a priority, but where
Yes.
do you fit in?
So what does your morning routine look like? So you get up, I mean, do you get up with screaming?
Yeah, I do
Like sometimes my
actually.
my alarm is the barking. So is your alarm like, the fighting over something or whatever?
No,
Or like do you try to get up before them so that you can create some time for yourself?
like I don't. I'm a divorced mom and my kids are still small. So I have a few days a week where I can manage my sleep better, and then I have a very different routine because I'm the kind of person who would love to get up at 6:30 in the morning before my kids, but my kids are up. My kids are up, and I had barely any sleep during the night, so I stay in my bed as long as they let me.
Right.
And most of the times, the latest is 7 AM, and then I'm very grateful that I was able to sleep a little bit longer in the morning until 7. So usually, like if my kids would allow me to sleep or when I'm alone, then my morning routine is first of all, I like to start with a meditation or a breathing exercise or a visualization to set intentions for the day and to set the vibe on the frequency where I want it to be. Like, how do I want my energy to feel? What do I want to attract? What do I want to send out? All these things. I just want to be mindful about that. Sometimes I do a little bit of thought exercise, journaling on constructive progress that I want to make. And then I prefer to do a morning workout. I used to do workouts that were an hour to an hour and a half, 3 to 4 times a week. And the other days I would love to go for a walk with my dog. But with the sleep deprivation for a few years now, I've noticed that I'm kidding myself to think that that will be my standard anytime soon. At one point, my body was so exhausted, and sometimes there are moments that I have to say, right now, I'm not doing anything. My body just can't because I'm an over pusher. So I know that I
Sure.
will go too far. And now I've realized that there's this 7-minute workout that you can do with just body weight. And I feel great when I do that. I feel so much better when I give myself those 7 to 10 minutes in the morning to do some physical activity. That and or a walk with the dog, and
Mhm.
then a healthy breakfast, and then usually a shower and to work, or ride a horse and to work. So that's what I do try to like. I'm even trying to make my calendar only start at 11 a.m. with appointments in the morning so I have time for my horses because I'm not riding. I have two amazing horses here. I'm not riding because there's never time. So I
Right.
realized, practice what you preach, sister. You have to schedule this in and make this a priority. And you have to follow your own rhythm. I know that if I don't do my workout or my horses in the morning, it's not happening. So then be true to your system, and what works for you. And I think that that's really important too.
I love that you had the short workout because when you said an hour to an hour and a half, I was like, "Oh god."
My body was so tight then.
But we had different energy. When you're in
Wow.
your teens and 20s, I mean, you have endless energy and you have no responsibility. Really, you're responsible for yourself or whoever you decide you're responsible for, but for the most part, like, you do have that time and you have that ability to go there for long hours. I find now, because 'cause I'm post-raising children, and they're still here, but I'm not as active as you are in their everyday lives.
Yeah.
And one of the things for me is that, like, I don't still, like, even after that, I don't wanna go to the gym for an hour and a half. I count the whole, like, I'm going to the gym for an hour is me driving to the gym, working out, and driving home. It's going to take an hour. So, and it's
Yeah,
10
yeah.
minutes away. So I'll go in there, I'll walk on the treadmill or ride the bike or whatever to warm myself up for 10 minutes. I put a limit on it at 10 minutes, and then I spend 20 minutes working out, whatever it may be, just so that I can get my body moving. They have those little, the aqua beds massagers sometimes. Like if I have a little extra time, I'll go ahead, lay on the bed, get a little massage or, do something for myself. And then I bounce home and I feel it. And it's funny. I was listening to a podcast the other day and I think it was Rhonda Patrick was talking about snacks, exercise snacks. So that 7-minute workout that you're talking about is perfect because it's enough to activate your body. And as women get older, we need that quick activation. We need that like burst of energy, burst of strength, whatever it may be, because that's what kind of holds on. I mean, jumping, right? Good for bone density, all that kind of stuff. That's what holds on to our muscular strength. But again, we're not built to work out for an hour and a half throwing heavy weights. It's
No.
just not, and especially if you live a normal life and you have children and you have a job, then you're sacrificing your sleep. And we already know that that's not a good thing for anybody because of the fact that it does make you more sensitive and it affects how you process your food. It obviously affects your mental health. So, you can't sacrifice your sleep. And maybe that's the non-negotiable for most people, right? Is that's the boundary is that,
Do you have to
you
say,
know,
as maybe a little counterpoint, that before, when I was in my 20s, I would sleep till 8 in the morning and I felt worse than when I got up at 6:30 to do my workout in the morning. It depends, we can get sometimes you can sleep too much.
for sure.
So I would say find a good balance. And also the thing is that with the 7-minute workout, Janice doesn't have to scream so loud because she feels like not much is changing. But with an hour, that's a big thing. So,
Yes.
I have to scream, I have to do something. But when you make the things that you want to reach your goals, when you make them smaller in really small steps, you'll get a lot less resistance from that reptilian brain, that survival instinct that we call Janice. That makes it easier to actually achieve the goals. So it's
Yes.
always the combination for me with how the brain works with how we want to implement that in our day to day life.
So what does it look like to be your client? Like, so I come to you and maybe, I don't know, I'm super nervous. Like I'm somebody who is, if I have a competition 3 days before, I start freaking out, and then by the time the competition shows up, I'm a disaster. So I come to you and I'm like, "Cathy, please help me."
I would say
So what
get
is
back together. No, I'm just kidding.
get your shit together.
Shit together. No. Um, like I often have clients who, for example, have a very bad fall with a heavy injury,
Mhm.
and then they get scared or nervous to ride again, or especially to jump again, because that's where most accidents then happen. The beautiful part is that I rarely work on the event of jumping or falling or resetting that, but I work with them on building their trust and their confidence within. And then they notice that in their performance, it just shows. I have this client and she said like she broke her back last year from a fall, like real severe fall. And we started working in December. And she said, well, I started doing this because I didn't know if I was going to be able to really jump again because I was really scared after that big fall. But now I mean, I'm not just jumping again. She said, I'm getting more horses. I'm building up to get into bigger classes, but I'm also so much more confident as the, business leader in my company and in my family and with my team. I'm just so much more confident all over because, yes, that's what we do. We build that confidence, trust, and calm from within with mindset techniques, training the brain, like we are talking about training our bodies. You can compare your brain to a muscle that you can train. And that's what we do. We reprogram, we train, we really work on the brain. There's no magic pill here. It's doing the work. With the short exercises, like the 3-minute reset is the first tool that I give my client. That's just one technique, but we have so many. It's a step by step process that we build on together. And that's where she said, I love how she put this. She said, I'd worked with sports psychologists before, but I never was able to really feel it and live it. And I thought,
Hmm.
that is what we do. That is what we do. We live it. That's what I was missing for so long. I had so many tools. I knew so many things from all the personal and spiritual education I had done. I did not know how to apply it at all. I couldn't. I couldn't apply it. And now it's just so much easier because you have these tools and you know how to make your brain work for you. And that's how you create a winning mindset to use it, to let it work for you and to make it easier on yourself instead of harder.
I think that's very similar to someone who is recovering from chronic pain because, like you said, I had all the tools. I've read a bunch of books. I listened to a bunch of podcasts. I was already in therapy, so I was doing the work. And then I just got overwhelmed with the knowledge. And so I just didn't know where to start in terms of calming myself down, figuring out, I don't need to do all the tools. Like, earlier you were talking about like opening up the toolbox. Like I would open up the toolbox and throw all the tools out and then go, I don't know which one to pick, and then just sit there for 45 minutes staring at all the tools. Yeah, overwhelm was definitely a piece of it. So, but what you're talking about is really just anchoring, it's building knowledge, right? So it's having that one thing, that one little anchor, right? Maybe it's the 3-minute meditation and doing that and then starting to feel the shift, and then you probably, right, give
Build
me
on
something.
top of that. Yeah, you
Yes,
keep
and then
building.
that's the way.
We do small habits and we work
Yes.
on it together while I teach you how the brain works and how to make it work for you and to make it easier. Like we talked about Janice, how to work with Janice instead of against Janice. Because the more you can calm her down, the more peace and quiet you can give her, it will become so much easier to change your routines or to shift your mindset or to see a new perspective because we're also stuck from the patterns that we are used to. And that's normal. That's how it works. But if you want to break free from that, that's not just going to happen by itself. We just have to be bold enough to admit that. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. No, it means that you're a conscious person who wants to move ahead. And I think that's so powerful.
It's good stuff. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. So, if somebody wants to work with you or they want to learn more about what you do, where can they find you?
So if you want to chat or hang out, let's meet on Instagram, I would say. I would be most active there. Your success trainer or Cathy Spaas, you can find me on either. If you want to discover a bit more about my work with some famous artists, you can check my YouTube channel. These are older interviews, but they're from a few years back, but still, like, there are some golden nuggets in there. And if you want to work with me, I would say just get a taste and try the 3-minute calm reset. We start a new cohort of Go for Gold, which is an online mastermind program where we build this step by step. This is an A to Z program where we do everything we talked about and so much more. But we would just have a chat first to see if that's the right fit for you and if you are the right fit for that program. So that
When does
would
that
be
program start?
on September 1st, we have the introduction session, and then there's 2 weeks to get started with the first module. So it would be interesting to act fast if you would like really want to take advantage of that. And otherwise, I would say reach out as soon as you can so we can have a chat. And then you can see because these are like 2 weeks that you could still flow in. Uh, but then you really have to be fast because spots are limited, and once we started module 1, it's really closed, a closed group. I don't let anyone in anymore, and then it's waiting till next year, February, probably.
That
So,
sounds great. Well,
yeah,
thank you so much.
thank you for having me. I really enjoyed our time together, and, yeah, love to stay in touch.
All right. Awesome.